Mm-hmm. You see him jogging off the field, though. Probably just got a sack. But I digress, and I let Teddy introduce our guest for today.
Thank you, Eric. Hailing from Toledo, Ohio, today's guest was a standout at the University of Michigan. Go Wolverines, baby. A man nicknamed the Big Worm. This gentleman has a total of 106 tackles in the National Football League. And we can't forget that 9.5 sacks. I am proud and honored to present the starting defensive end for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the one and only Mr. Chris Wormley. What is up, man? How you doing?
Eric, Teddy, I'm doing good, man. I was talking to Eric just right before we went live, and just enjoying the summer in Pittsburgh. But yeah, man, I'm happy to be on the show for a little bit and talk some ball and just kind of hang out for a little bit. So appreciate you guys having me on, and let's get into it.
Yeah, and Chris, we're gonna kind of take a little bit of a journey back, and I like to start with the early years. And researching you made me feel young and old, as we're around the same age. You're born in October of '93, I'm May of '94, but you're much larger than me, so I felt a little bit better. But you attended Whitmer High School in Toledo, Ohio, where you were an all-state football player. And I mean, that's just the first step, because you enrolled at Michigan in 2012. You unfortunately, during training camp, you tore your ACL, but I mean, I guess fortunately it happened prior to the season, so you received that medical red shirt, right?
Yeah, it was actually the first two-a-day of my freshman year at Michigan, the last play of practice, which was unfortunate at the time, but it allowed me to, like you said, get that medical red shirt. It allowed me to kind of take a step back and see how college life really is, not only football-wise, but in school, the social life, parties and things like that. Really allowed me to have a much calmer freshman year, unless I was, playing like I was supposed to play right away. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But yeah, made the most of it, and came out the other end and still playing ball. So it's cool.
And I mean, enjoy that year you did, but the next year you bounced back. And now, coming back from an injury, what is the process that goes into returning, especially into a football scene?
Yeah, it's not only just the physical aspect of I tore my ACL, so getting my knee, healthy and feeling as good as it can. It's also a big mental game. I tore it, like I said, the second week of of training camp, the second two-a-day practice or the first two-day practice, and just being able to go through all of this without being at home. I was at home for the last 18 years. Now I'm stepping into this new role as trying to find my classes on this big university campus, trying to, acclimate myself to a new life while also rehabbing this knee on crutches, walking around the university was not a lot of fun. But not only, like I said, was the physical, but the mental aspect of knowing how far to push yourself, knowing when to take a step back and allow the knee just to heal. That was a process in itself. And it really took almost a full year until I was really ready to play ball again.
I mean, ready to play ball you were. And, you during your time at Michigan, so first 2 seasons, you appear in 25 games. You start 6 of them. And as a junior, you started 10 games, 2 sacks, 8 TFLs. Your senior season, those where you really shined. You and Jake Butt, and I love that last name on this, I'm sure everyone does, were selected as captains of the team. You're named to the watch list for the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, and Chuck Bednarik, gosh, those are some long last names, award as the best defensive player in college football. And for the season, he had 39 tackles, 9 TFLs, 6 sacks, being named to the All Big Ten defensive team and second team All-American. Whew, I'm tired just saying all that. But you capped off your college career quite the spark.
So, yeah, it really was a process. That first year coming back from my ACL, it was pretty rough. And then the next year, I started to get in my groove a little bit. And then our head coach Brady Hoke got fired, and Jim Harbaugh came for my last 2 years, and that's where I really picked up my stride. I thought about leaving after my junior year. There was some buzz there of maybe me leaving there, and I had some opportunities, I think, to have played, in the NFL after my junior year. But I really wanted to, like you said, kind of put the cap on my college career, cement myself as a draft pick, and I had my best season my last year. So I think staying for a fifth year was well worth it.
The cliche saving the best for last was very true in this scenario. And you're selected by the Ravens in the third round, 74th pick, the 2017 draft. And the Ravens obtained that pick by trading Timmy Jernigan to the Eagles. Now, I know Teddy wants to hop in and ask a question about that. Chris, I don't assume that people drink, but if you did, what did you drink when you got drafted?
Oh, man. So the boys were over. My college roommates were over, and we just they got me this massive bottle of just, cheap champagne. So I popped that, and, we had a good time that night. But nothing too crazy. When you're in college, you're just trying to find, the cheap natty lights or the cheap champagne and stuff like that. So nothing too fancy, but we definitely enjoyed ourselves.
I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed. Look, there's cheap champagne for many occasions, birthdays, maybe not graduations. You're getting drafted to the NFL, and they can't even get the middle tier. Like if they got Andre brand champagne or, oh god.
No, man, it was just the boys were just graduating college too, so we hadn't made any money yet, so we were just looking to have a good time, and whether it was the bottle of Ace of Spades for $1,000 or the cheap stuff for $40, we were going to have a good time no matter what.
Okay, well, as long as it's cheap as 40, I was thinking those $5 to $10 bottles. So 40 is okay.
It was like a half gallon, so maybe the smaller bottles would have been about $5 to $10. So
okay, all right, I feel better now.
My wasn't sophisticated back then. I was, like I said, the lights and the fireball and all that good stuff. So, it's a lot can change in 5 years though.
Now, Chris, speaking of that draft, when a team trades away, a player to obtain a pick, what was that feeling like? Do you feel even more appreciated, or is there more of a pressure to perform?
Yeah, and Timmy Jernigan was a D lineman for the Ravens. So when they traded a pick away, and I didn't really realize it when I was getting drafted. I wasn't really paying attention to the teams that were trading up, trading down, trading picks away. But the week after, they're like, yeah, you got traded, or the Ravens traded away a player to gain a pick, and you were the pick. And so yeah, there's a little added pressure to that. You're a higher draft pick. I was a day 2 guy, so there was that pressure already on myself, and I wanted to be able to perform right away. But that first year, I think I only maybe played in 7 games and didn't really come into my playing how I've been playing this last couple of years until I think right around the halfway point of my second year and into my third year there. So it was a process at Michigan those first couple of years, and it was a process in the league for those first couple of years. So I'm no stranger to putting the work in and being patient with things. But when things start to click, man, it's fun.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned how the process. And I mean, you make your debut October 8th, 2017. You got 24 snaps. You get your first career tackle against the Raiders. The following week, you made your first start against the Bears, recording 2 tackles and a QB hit. So like you said, you're making your first kind of hit in the NFL, real talk.
Yeah, and even then, like I dressed for I think a handful of games, and then I sat for a handful of games, and then kind of up and down, and sometimes I would dress and only play 3-4 snaps. So just that process of not getting too down on yourself, and just knowing that if I continue to put the work in, continue to strive for what I want, I can make a career out of this. And going into my 6th year, I've done just that. So it's nice to see that the hard work I've put in all these years is finally paying off.
And I mean, hard work did pay off, as I'm sure you remembered who QB'd for the Bears. Hint, it's the Carolina guy. Now, it's Mitch Trubisky. I'll just throw the answer out there. I know it wasn't a sack, but your job is to get after the quarterback, and that you did, Chris. Did this feel like a welcome moment, to you in the NFL?
I think the welcome moment to me was when I tackled Marshawn Lynch that first game that I dressed. He was playing for the Raiders, and that's beast mode. That's the guy that has those viral videos of shedding off 10 different tacklers and doing his little celebration.
You did what Tracy Porter couldn't. Tracy Porter couldn't tackle him, and you did.
a lot of guys couldn't tackle him. So I think my welcome to the league was when I got to tackle him, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think just that, like we talked about, just that rookie season was really just a process of me figuring out what type of player am I going to be, and how can I stay in this league for as long as possible.
Yeah, and I mean that rookie season, you had 5 tackles, including that mentioned QB hit. And the following season, you stepped it up. Talking about that process, 16 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 QB hits, 5 pass deflections, and a sack. So we're really watching you grow as a player. And the following season, you had arguably one of the best career games against the Bengals, division rival, with a career high 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 QB hits. I hope you got the game ball that one.
I didn't get the game ball.
Oh!
But like I said, any way that I can contribute to the team and continuing to grow, I was excited for that. That was one of my better games, like you said. So yeah, it's always a process, like we're talking about. It's always fun to contribute to the team as much as you can.
So after the 2019 season, you're traded to the Steelers, a division rival, and the Ravens Steelers is arguably one of the best and most physical rivalries in football. So I think it's really interesting that a business decision was made between these two teams. Now, having played on both sides, can you give some insight into what the rivalry is like? Is everything kind of for show on the field, or is there animosity that carries beyond it?
Yeah, I think there's definitely animosity. I grew up a Steelers fan, so I grew up watching this rivalry. Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu and Ray Lewis, those kind of guys, getting after Big Ben, on Sunday Night Football. My parents let me stay up a little later to watch those games. So I had an understanding as a fan of what it was, but when I stepped on the field and was playing against Ben Roethlisberger for the first time when I was with the Ravens, I was like, okay, this is a little different. On the field, there's definitely that heated, spirit, heated rivalry, and maybe even some bad blood. But at the end of the day, we're all professionals. We're all looking to, get off the field healthy. And being on both sides now, you kind of can. I have friends still on the Ravens, and we talk still to this day. So it's a rivalry, no doubt. But I think at the end of the day, like I said, we're all professionals, and we're all just trying to get out healthy. But we're still trying to kick the other team's ass and win a game. So it's definitely heated in between the lines for 60 minutes.
So you step up, and there's that intensity where you're like, we're bringing it extra today. We're making sure we wrap up extra harder. But that fine, like you said, of no low hits. You're not trying to injure someone.
Yeah, you're just trying to make as many plays as you can. That's your job as a football player. You're trying to win, especially in an in-division game, a rivalry game, and a team that is usually it's either you're going to be us or the Ravens that are going to win the division. Every year.
That's true.
The Bengals are playing really well now too, and the Browns too. So I think our whole entire division, especially this year, is going to be one of the most competitive, right up there with the AFC West. So it's going to be exciting to go to battle and fight for that AFC North crown.
Yeah, and I think it's arguably the most physical division. Those games, just between the rivalries, it always seems like there is never a shortage of entertainment. But I mean, Chris, talking about your first season with the Steelers, you unfortunately suffered a knee injury week 7, but I mean, you came off the best season of your career in 2021. You set career highs in almost every categories: 51 tackles, 10 QB hits, 6 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. I mean, we got to give a hand up for that. I mean, year 6, and we're still cooking with gas. So,
like you said, the first year when I got traded, I really was looking to make an impact on the team, and I kind of was battling some injuries throughout camp, and got hurt and was put on IR for 3 weeks during the middle of the season. So, didn't get to make the impact that I knew that I could have that first year with the team in 2020. But last year, like you said, was by far my most productive year. I made a lot of big plays in some crunch time situations, which was fun. But just to be able to, kind of like how I talked about just the process, of not getting down. I didn't play. I think I played the least amount of snaps that year, just with injuries and things like that. Than I did in my first year in 2017. So just trying to stay level-headed as possible, and knowing that if I am healthy, then I can contribute in a way that I haven't before, and given the opportunity, it was the right recipe for success for me that year.
Now, Chris, it seems like each year you are getting better and better. You're trusting the process more. So what are some personal goals for this upcoming season?
I think for me is just to kind of replicate what I did last year, play with a little more confidence than I did, and I think for me it's just getting into a rhythm of knowing the team that we're playing, getting in there early and often, making the plays, and just continually gain that confidence. But I know the type of player that I am. I know the type of player that I can be when I'm out there and given that opportunity like I was last year. So I'm looking to continue to help the team as much as possible. I'm trying to win my first playoff game. I've been to the playoffs 4 years in a row and I've lost that first game. So more of a team goal. Definitely want to win a playoff game and make it to the Super Bowl is the ultimate goal. But for me, I'm going into my last year of my contract with the Steelers. So this is another big year for me. So I'm excited to kind of put my talents on display again and see where that leads me.
This is a big year for you, and it's also a big year for the Steelers. And look, the elephant in the room is there's some big change. Ben Roethlisberger retired this past offseason, and for the first time in almost 20 years, there's going to be change and open competition at quarterback. But what I don't think people talk about enough is how well the Steelers are managed with Mike Tomlin. They've never had a losing season in his tenure, and in a sport where we've seen minorities passed over for coaching positions, he's one of the most respected coaches in the league. So you've been with the organization over 2 years now. At this point, how would you describe the culture that Mike Tomlin has for the team?
I think it's the best culture I've been around. And John Harbaugh at the Ravens is another highly respected, highly successful coach in the NFL. And I really like that culture as well when I was there for 3 seasons. But it's just something about Mike Tomlin and the way that he conducts not only football but just his day-to-day life. And how he interacts with us on a more personal level that I think a lot of the guys on the team can respect and can want to play behind and want to go essentially go to battle with each week. When a guy like that who loves football just as much as all of us do and maybe even more so, that we're put in a good position to succeed. And with Mike Tomlin, anything's possible, and we're excited for this season as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting is the Steelers line for wins this season is 7.5, and I feel like you have to bet the over because he hasn't had a losing season. So
I think that whatever Caesars or Vegas has going on with the line books, or I would like to see what the odds are for that. But if I was a betting man, definitely bet the over on that. It's Mike. And the Steelers haven't had a losing season in 15 plus years. You can kind of go down the list of ways that, we're going to be a successful team no matter, what the big changes are. Our defense is stacked again, so I'm excited for that. We revamped our offensive line. We have really good weapons at receiver in our tight end and Freiermuth. Najee Harris is going to continue to be a great running back and put on for our team. And then Mitch Trubisky, he led the Bears to 2 playoffs appearances in 4 years when he was the starting quarterback there. And I think we have a lot of I think his weapons in Pittsburgh are better than his weapons were in Chicago. So I'm excited for him to lead the team. Like you said, that quarterback position battle is going to be fierce in camp.
Is Mitch the leader right now to win the job? I know Kenny Pickett's a rookie.
Yeah, I think Mike T's talked about in the media a little bit about Mitch being QB1, so I'm excited for that. But anything can happen in camp. There's 3 preseason games, and there's 30 practices or whatever it is for camp. So there's a lot of ball to be played before that decision is final. But I'm excited for that competition. It's always fun to watch in camp.
Yeah, and that was enough talk about Mitch Trubisky. We've mentioned him twice but now, Chris, we're going back to you. And you recently held your first youth football camp for the Toledo community. And I want to emphasize that it was free.
Yeah.
Where did the inspiration come up for this event, and how was the turnout?
Inspiration came, I don't know, when I was going to, there's a football player by the name of Jeremy Lincoln who is from Toledo, played at Tennessee and had a free football camp at Toledo for over 20 years. He's kind of my mentor. So that thought has always been in the back of my mind since I was a little kid. If I get to the NFL, I want to be able to give back to my community the way that Jeremy did for so many years. But it really got put into motion this past offseason in January with my high school. And I really wanted it to be a free camp. and we got all the sponsors that we needed to be able to give these kids a free day of learning and fun. They got some cool swag bags. They got a free lunch. But just to be able to give back to my community, who supports me to this day, was something that was really important to me. And the turnout was great. We had about 150 kids, and it was a really fun day. So I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to do it for as long as I can.
Oh, I love hearing that. And those kids are really fortunate that you're looking out for them. I know a lot of people with the capitalistic society we live in, if they can make a quick buck off their name, they will. And I just think that speaks more to your character. And I mean, we're speaking with Chris Wormley, current defensive end for the Steelers, a great guy all around. Chris, we like to get our athletes out of here with a little triple play rapid fire, some this or that questions, not all football related. And I guarantee you've not been asked some. You game?
I'm game. Let's do it.
All right. So the better jersey to wear, and I'm just talking about how it looks visually, the Ravens purple or the Steelers black?
I think the Steelers black. My one thing with the Steelers or the Ravens purple is that kind of makes you look like Barney because you got the purple jersey, the purple pants. The jersey hanging up like a frame is really cool looking, but wearing that doesn't really accentuate, I guess, how good you can look. And the black is all sleek. I was a Steelers fan growing up, so when those black jerseys were out, you knew it was something special. It was either a Monday night game, Thursday night game, Sunday night game. So when those jerseys are out, it's a big game.
Okay, I figured you'd pick the current team that you're on. Would you rather get a game with 2 sacks or your first interception?
Oh, 2 sacks, no doubt.
You don't want an interception though. You don't want it because the sacks will say you don't get a forced fumble. Interception, that's a turnover.
I'm gonna take the sacks. Sacks is what gets D linemen paid, and to be able to get 2 sacks in a game doesn't happen often, and neither does an interception. But my job is to get sacks, and I get paid based off of that. So you can keep the interception.
Okay. All right. What if it was 2 interceptions? It's 2 and 2. You still taking the sacks?
I mean, at that point, 2 interceptions definitely changes the chances of the game. So I might take the interceptions if there's 2, but those sacks are still. I think they weigh pretty heavy too.
They're the money maker. I get it. For 1 year, would you rather every shower you take be cold or you have to sleep on the hardwood floor?
Oh, cold showers. I like cold showers as it is, and I like the cold baths. After a hard workout or after a hot day. So I'll take a cold shower any day than sleeping on a hard floor. I need a comfortable bed. I need my good 8 hours of sleep. So. Hardwood can kiss my ass.
I mean, that's a good one that you have. I'm disappointed that the first 3 haven't really made you think, but hopefully this one does.
Here we go.
Would you rather clog the toilet in the locker room at the office or at your lady's house on the first date?
Oh, I mean the office. It's like the football locker room.
Yeah, or let's say Art Rooney's office. Yeah, I'm sure he has a private bathroom.
Now you're making me think. If it's the owner's bathroom, I might just. If it's a first date, I've been married and I've been with my girl since I was a sophomore in high school. So, me taking a poop around her isn't too big of a deal. But if it's a first date, I still might take the first date because that's the owner. He writes my checks, and if I'm able to use his bathroom, I must be pretty special anyway. So, first date for sure.
All right, I had to make you think a little bit on that one. I figured you do. You don't want to mess up the money.
Yeah.
So, what's your best Halloween costume? I saw you and your lady dressed up as Aladdin and Jasmine one year. Anything top that?
I was a clown, I think, the year before that. What was I growing up? I was a judge at one point growing up, like an old-time judge with like the curly white hair.
Oh, yeah.
But that Aladdin, I think, was pretty cool too.
It made the Instagram.
Yeah, I made the Instagram. So that might be the best one, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, I figured it was very well pulled off.
Yeah, appreciate you.
What's your favorite cereal?
Probably Golden Grams, and if you don't know,
oh gosh.
So Golden Grams. So when I go to the store, and I don't rarely ever have cereal, but if I'm going to the store, I'm going to get Golden Grams and Fruity Pebbles.
Do you mix them?
No, you can't mix them.
Oh, well, some people do. I mean, I don't think you could do those two because just the taste
is so
different. But I like Fruity Pebbles as an answer better than Golden Grams. Like, think about after one bowl, I just wouldn't want anymore. It's too honey-ish.
I like it. You don't have to like it.
That's true. That's true.
Fair. I'm trying to peer pressure someone that's a foot taller than me. And
okay, so what's your answer? What's your guys' favorite cereals?
Are you familiar with the Halloween 1 count Chocula? Like,
yeah,
that's it.
That's a terrible. I'm not a big chocolate fan, so like that answer is worse than, like just regular Cheerios or.
Oh, wow! Worse than regular Cheerios. I'm a Lucky Charms guy. I just got to put it out there. There's nothing.
Okay.
I'm okay meeting in the middle, doing the handshakes emoji on Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, we can agree with that for sure. No doubt.
Right. That was a good question, and we got a couple more here. Do you have any tattoos outside Big Worm on the inside of your lip?
I do. I have. So my daughter, her name is Spade. So I have Spade on my wrist. My wife and I got that right after she was born a couple years ago. So just those two. But yeah, the Big Worm tattoo, I see maybe like once or twice a year when I'm getting my teeth cleaned, and the dentist is like, "Oh, nice tattoo." I'm like, "The hell are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've had this in my mouth for like 8 years now, and I just forget about it sometimes."
I told you I did some stalking on social media.
There we go. Yeah. That one always comes up. It's like, I can't believe you have a tattoo on the inside of your mouth. And did it hurt? And were you drunk when you got it? And all these questions start popping up. And it's like, no, my buddy, one of my teammates at Michigan, his brother was in town from Utah and was a tattoo artist, and he did it in the dorm room for like $20 on like a random Tuesday. So, and it was supposed to be gone like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's still lingering around and still looks pretty good. So I think it's here to stay.
I love it. So speaking of the worm, when was the last time you did the worm?
Oh man, maybe like junior high or high school. People are like, "Oh, you should do it for your sack dance," and I'm like, that takes so much like effort and like I mean, maybe I'd have to practice it beforehand, and like practicing the worm just. I'm a big dude and I got a lot of weight moving around. So like trying to control that it would be tough, but maybe if I get 2 interceptions in a game, I'll do the worm for the second one.
I like that. I can also see the danger in that because I feel like it's borderline taunting with the NFL rules. And I mean, let's be real with all the equipment. I mean, you're pushing down on your front side where the male genital area is. It's not crazy to think that you could potentially hurt that doing it.
I don't want to hurt that. I don't want to be fined, $20,000 for doing some excessive.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of diapers. It's a lot of, things I got to pay for my daughter. So thinking of it that way, it's like, maybe the worm's not the best thing to do. So, but I have thought about it, but not too much in depth.
But okay, so speaking of a dance you do when you get a big play, have you been practicing your Dikembe Mutombo finger wag?
I think the last time I did that might have been my 3rd year against the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm a 49ers fan. So I was watching that play, and you get a pass deflection, 4th and 2, and you do that. But I'll be honest, it wasn't the best. And that's why I've been wondering if you've been working on it.
I mean, I guess I haven't, but next time we play the 49ers, I'll have to do it again and make sure I send it to you.
I'd be honored if you did it. I guess I have to hope that they're blowing the Steelers out and you get it at the end, and 49ers get a win. But you still get your
in that instant, it was, I think they were up by like 1 or 2, and I block it 4th and 2, and then we go down and kick a game-winning field goal. So if my Dikembe Mutombo finger wag isn't up to par with you, then I'll take the win any day.
Here's the thing. I'll root for a 49ers win, but I'll root for you to get your stats. Like whoever's quarterback can throw interceptions, get sacks, they got out an ugly victory, and hopefully you get paid down the road. But Chris, I saved the best question for last. Would you rather fight Mike Tyson once, or you have to talk like him the rest of your life?
Am I getting paid to fight Mike Tyson?
No. But you have training, so we don't just throw you in cold turkey.
Mike Tyson right now at like 55? Or Mike Tyson
No, I wouldn't put you prime Mike Tyson. That's just then it's not a tough question. We'll say Mike Tyson now because Mike Tyson can still scrap.
I think if I fight him, I'm probably going to get knocked out, and then I'm going to end up talking like him anyways because of the head trauma.
You're 6'5". You don't think that you could take Mike Tyson? We'll give you like a couple months training.
Hell no. He's had 40 years of training. Mike Tyson?
Have youth. Yeah, you have youth.
Oh, man. You have youth too then.
Hey, I'm 5'5", okay? I'm not even bigger than him.
All right, you fight Manny Pacquiao, and I'll fight Mike Tyson, and then we'll see, you know? We'll both fight him.
How about this? I'll try and do that. If I die, it's a good way to die. You've done a very good job of turning the tables on me, and
yeah, see, you gotta make sure you can think about it on your end, because fighting Mike Tyson, there's no way in hell I'm fighting Mike Tyson. Maybe in 10 years, he's 65.
We had Chris Evans from the Bengals, another active player on, who's smaller than you, and said, "No, I'm taking him. I'll lose, whatever. I think I could take him a couple rounds."
No shot.
Chris, so humble, but
I just know myself. Like, I'm not. I would fight any other. I'd fight any NFL player over Mike Tyson right now.
Would you fight Vontaze Burfict if he was still playing?
Mike Tyson, absolutely.
Would you fight Andre Johnson,
the receiver?
Yeah, if he was, I'm sure you've seen that video where he's thrown dukes at Cortland Finnegan.
Yes, over Mike Tyson, 100%. Mike Tyson is one of the greatest boxers to ever live, and still can throw down.
Okay, who is the player? This is a bonus one, and maybe you won't answer this if you don't want to give anything away. Who are you intimidated by most in the NFL right now?
Like playing up against them, or like fighting in a boxing
match? Fighting them in a boxing match.
Whoa. I don't know.
What about Ndamukong Suh? You would fight Ndamukong Suh
over Mike Tyson? Yeah.
Wow.
None of these NFL players are professional boxers. You know, so if we're in a boxing match and I have to decide if I want to face an NFL player who's big and strong and fast and athletic, or Mike Tyson, who's the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time, it's like a no-brainer.
I mean, you're a smart guy.
And not to say that I'm a better fighter or a better boxer than these NFL players, but they're not better than Mike Tyson.
I mean, that's true. So I guess if you had to fight, who is the person that you'd want to fight least in the NFL right now, player-wise?
To fight least?
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, I guess you don't want to hurt the franchise quarterback. That's a good answer.
Good answer.
That's a good answer, Chris. You're a smart guy.
You're not going to make me say something crazy.
I just figured you'd pick a guy that's bigger than you, since you're probably bigger than most of them. But you gave the smart answer.
There we go.
But
I'm sticking to it.
Chris, we really appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us. Before we get you out of here, we want to give you the floor. Anything to plug, where they can find you on the socials, some of the good stuff you're working on?
Let me check my Instagram. I always forget what my name's on social media. So let me find my phone. Instagram is big_worm43. Twitter is what is it? Chris_Wormley43. But no, just trying to, get into more into the community of Pittsburgh and Toledo, and just give back as much as I can. But nothing really to plug, man. I had a great time with you guys. Appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to being on sometime soon.
Yeah, and for those tuning in, make sure you watch some Chris Wormley highlights. Make sure you follow him on the socials. A great guy, and hopefully someone that is going to have his best year of yet. And for everybody that watches Triple Play, we really appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next one.